but we're here at the Bertha Williams branch of the library on Rosa Parks Avenue. Did I get that right, Michael? Where's Juanita? There she is. Juanita, come on up here. You're always in the background. And if you bring Chester, I know he probably needs a little help. He's had a little surgery. Why don't you bring Chester on up here? We've talked a lot about programs at the library, and we talked about the mind and we talked about the body, and both of those are extremely important. We got a lot of things going on about those things, and so what we wanted to do today was highlight a couple of the great programs, and then really thank the Friends of the Library for allowing us to implement something that is going to be beneficial to us. And I won't steal that thunder, but Mary, you coming too? You got the check. You're always welcome, boy. Love it, love it, love it. Juanita, you want to pick this up?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning to everyone. We've been working for the past 5 years on enabling our citizens who visit the library to check out their own material and then make sure that we have what they want when they want it on the shelves at all times. And so we started out the project. Friends of the Library kicked us out with a big $50,000 donation towards that project. And then we did last year we did this library and Raymond Library. And the Friends of the Library again stepped up. And so we wanted to recognize them this morning for that effort. And so, Mary, will you please? We have some other things to talk about, but Mary, would you please?
Money first?
Yes, money first.
Money
And
first.
that's the way you do it.
I like it. Hey, Mary, where are you?
On behalf of the Friends of the Library, we are pleased.
You get in front of the microphone so everybody can hear you.
I think my voice carries pretty well.
No, this is Cameron needs it.
Michael, I will get you later. On behalf of the Friends of the Library, we are happy to present this facsimile check to Juanita. It will not pass, the first one's already gone, for the RFID project and a couple of other things we have been happy to help out with this year.
And we're going to explain what the RFID project is, correct? Right. So this is obviously $58,800 goes with the other 50. $108,000 would be helpful to our kids. And I think who's going to explain the program?
I've got some staff over there
we're going to demonstrate that. You want to demonstrate that now or a little bit later?
No, we're going to do that later.
Okay.
We have something else we want to do right now.
Good. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it so much. Thank you.
I told the mayor a few weeks ago that he works on mind, body, and spirit. That's one of the things that we do in the city. And our part of the mind, body, and spirit is the mind. So we have programming that helps to develop the mind. One of the things that we're most proud of, Mayor, is our DADS program. And Ron Simmons with the Chamber of Commerce came to us with this idea about 2 years ago. Ron, can you join us, please? And I didn't quite understand it, but I picked it up, and it is just a wonderful program. It's the second Saturday of every month where Ron talk to me about that.
Okay. Thank you, Juanita and Mayor. Actually, it's almost 3 years ago. Yeah, it's almost 3 years ago. My daughter, she wouldn't get up this morning, but my daughter, she's 8 years old, and just took her to the library every Saturday. And I thought about it. I said, I believe that when you find a void in the community, you fill it. You don't complain about it. So one of the things I saw was a need for dads to get together with their daughters more, and do it at the library, because we did it and it worked for us. So we decided we would try to open this up. So I met with the mayor, I met with Juanita and her staff, and they were open to it. And then I started talking to Bob Parker over at Dreamland Barbecue, and he said, we'll sponsor it. So ever since then, every second Saturday, a bunch of dads get together with their daughters and their boys, believe it or not. The boys are there as well. And we have Dad and Daughter Saturday. Starts at 11 o'clock and we end at noon. Dreamland Barbecue has been so nice to us and generous enough. They provide us with lunch. And we get together, we have a great time. Now the library staff is tremendous. If it wasn't for Ms. O's and Fredretta Brown for the dedication they have. They put together all of the programs, but we have dads that come out, and believe it or not, we have to have moms because we're not that creative. But they come out and they really support us. So the program is going on very strong. We typically have about 17 to 18 kids there, and the dads, about 10 to 15 of us will come out. And we have a huge time, about 80 people on the Christmas time. So we look forward to it. Get the word out. I've even had people from Chicago call and say, hey, I've been online and I saw your program, and we would like to do something similar in this area. So the word is getting out. So thank you so much for your support and everything that you do. Thank you.
Well, the way you can remember that is just remember in the summer we have second Saturdays downtown. So it's the exact same at 11 o'clock on second Saturday.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing, we got a little challenge for you.
Uh-oh. Look, I got challenged to ping pong for the food bank yesterday, and I had to play 5 different matches, and my record was 3-2, and it only cost me $170.
Well, this is not going to cost you anything, and you're going to enjoy it. Ms. Brown, you're going to enjoy this.
This wasn't part of the script, Juanita.
Well,
Michael.
every other Tuesday at the library, we do something that's fun for adults. It's called line dancing.
Oh, no.
Yes, it's line dancing, and we started back as a part of Scale Back Alabama, and it has grown from about 10 people at Rufus Lewis Library. We moved it to Morgan Library last year, and I looked at it last week. There's over 75 people in there on Tuesday. So it's a growing thing. You know, line dancing all over the U.S. is big. So we want our community to know that, you know, you can come and get something for the mind, you can come and get something for the body, and then you can also find a good spirits there, and that is the line dancing. So, Mayor,
Is the music going to roll, Mike?
we know you love to dance.
Okay, before we do the line dance, I just want to let everyone know that it's held every second and fourth Tuesday at the Julia Hampton Morgan Public Library from 6 to 8. It is free and open to the public, guaranteed to make you sweat, guaranteed to step away from pounds, and you will have fun. So, Mayor, what we're going to do, and this is Sandra.
Can we get a representative from the news media up here to line dance with? The only one I see that's not really working would be Drew Taylor.
Come on. Anybody, come on. This is Sandra Berry, and both of us represent a line dancing group called Stepper's Choice. And what we do, we teach line dancing and stepping. To give you an idea of that is the electric slide, the wobble. Everybody know what the Cupid shuffle is, so we're going to demonstrate.
So why don't y'all demonstrate for us?
Oh, yeah, who's real first? Okay, I got to see what you guys do.
It might seem crazy, but I'm not saying. It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, we can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like happiness is true. Because I'm happy, clap along if you know what happiness is.
We encourage everybody to come to the library, and we encourage them to use the books as much as they want, to check them out, read them in the library, but return them. And shrinkage of books has always been a challenge for all the libraries, and they have developed a new technology to keep track of the shrinkage, to keep it from happening. And that's what, in fact, this program that Juanita is going to talk about really does. And we're rolling it out throughout the city, but this money is going to be used for a specific situation.
Exactly. The $58,000 that we received today, it will help us to complete that 5-year dream that we had of protecting the collection and then allowing our citizens to then come in when there's 6 people in the line or 2 people in line. You don't want to wait. You can go to the checkout center and check out your own material. It also gives us for the opportunity, we will in 2016 inventory the entire collection. This will be the second time that we've done this. We can do it with the wine. We can go down the shelves and wine, and by the end of the day, we would have inventoried the entire library system. So that's what it does, and that's how we will be using it. It also gives us an opportunity to check out more books to our summer reading program, summer bookmobile that we run with the Montgomery Education Association. So we're able to get more books out to them. And that's what it's all about, is being able to make sure that every person, but particularly every child in our community, has an opportunity to, 1, have a library card, 2, check out books, 3, have an opportunity to read when they want, so they can always stay above the game of learning. And that's what it's all about, lifelong learning for our community.
And thanks to the Friends of the Library for the leadership. And Mary, thank you for your continuing support of that through not only the board but also the foundation. Is that all for the library?
Well, it's not all, but
We got it. Well, no. Look, it's all about the kids. It's all about these youth programs. Now, let's go to the mind, body, and spirit. We've already talked about the mind. We're thinking about the spirit, but let's talk about the body. Rob Spivery, we've announced this youth initiative. It is eminently successful this summer. If you don't have anything to do on Tuesdays and Thursdays from about 10 o'clock to early afternoon, you go by Gateway Park. You will have a ball. I happened to go by there a couple of weeks ago, and we had 150 kids kayaking, dodgeball, kickball, archery, and in fact, I was able to hit the target. Great example for all these kids. But Rob, if you'll come, I know you got a special event tomorrow, and you're expecting over 300 kids. So talk a bit about the overall program, and then encourage people to come out for tomorrow.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Good morning. The youth initiative is off to a great start. Along with Parks and Recreation and many partners that we have throughout the city, the YMCA Boys and Girls Clubs, and a lot of the private organizations that work with youth that we stay in contact with and that we try to facilitate activities with, going very well. You know, last summer we touched over, with the combined partners, we touched over 18,000 youth during the summer last year, and with the feeding program fed over 20-some thousand luncheons last year, and actually it was many more than that, but 180,000 luncheons. So we're planning to up those numbers this summer. Monday we started the Brian Forrest educational program, partnered with Montgomery Educational Foundation. You know, the first summer for that was 3 years ago. They started with 50 students, first-time fourth graders. Last summer was the second summer. We upped that to about 100 students, fourth, fifth, and sixth graders. And this summer we have right at about 205 students participating in that program at Carver high school. So the whole plan was to start small and continually build as we go, and that's what we're on the road to doing. Tomorrow, the mayor has already mentioned about Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he's right. If you have free time between the hours of 9 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, make your way out to Gateway Park. You'll see many activities that our youth are engaging in. This past Tuesday, we partnered with the Montgomery County Parks and Recreation, and they were able to bring some of their kids out to the park to kayak, to take part in archery and other sporting activities that we have going on there. Tomorrow we'll have way over 300 of our youth participating in various games from about 9 a.m. until 11:30. Then we'll break for lunch, and it will be a full day's activity tomorrow. But we continue to grow. We continue to build our numbers. We continue to develop partners with those organizations that are working and striving to get youth involved. I met yesterday with Henry Tillis, who will be conducting a free football camp at Crampton Bowl on Saturday. He'll have well over 200 youth out participating in that football camp on Saturday. We're talking, Henry Tillis is the executive director of Men of Valor, which is a 501c3 organization, and they mentor to young men of school age without fathers in their home. And we're partnering with them and other organizations, and we will, at the end of this summer, bring many of those organizations together to talk about issues dealing with the youth, talking about how we can better serve certain youth in the area. And so we continue to grow as we move forward with the youth initiative. So this morning we have way over 150 youth at Crampton Bowl this morning at a football camp that is sponsored by ESPN and Camellia Bowl. And that will take place beginning at 9 a.m. this morning, going through noon. Coach Bill Clark, who is the head coach of UAB football program, is the teacher and conductor of the camp this morning, and we will then feed them lunch in the multiplex after the football camp. So just a brief update of what we're doing with the youth initiative.
Been having fun. His mission was to really initiate these kinds of programs, and we want people to understand, because some of these programs have a fee, but there are scholarships available. We do not want any child not to be able to participate, and the city council, the mayor's office has made some money available for scholarships there. We've talked about the mind, we've talked about the body. Now let's talk about the spirit. Now you're thinking, well, what are we going to talk about on the spirit? Well, how many of us in this room have ever heard of Zelda Scott Fitzgerald? We all have. And that's the spirit of that memory, because Julia McPhillips here in Montgomery really has carried that on. And Cynthia Millage, who's been a great spokesman for the museum, is here to talk about an event this Saturday that will, in fact, celebrate that as an educational and a spirit-filled opportunity. Cynthia?
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. Basically, as the mayor mentioned, we're going to have an event this Saturday at the museum at 10:30. It's called Watercolors by Zelda Fitzgerald. And the thing that we're trying to do is get the word out there about Zelda Fitzgerald. A lot of people know of her husband, F. Scott Fitzgerald, but they don't know about her. She's a very talented artist, and so we at the museum, along with the Fitzgerald Museum, are going to host this event called A Tea and Talk. Basically, you come out there, it's a free event, and we want people to come out there and basically learn about Zelda Fitzgerald and then get a chance to see all of her paintings. She did such phenomenal work out there that a lot of people don't realize she did because people are so focused in her husband as a novelist. But basically, we have about 26 paintings there that were donated by her daughter, Scotty, and a lot of them were designed in Scotty's honor. We have a huge collection called Paper Dolls, then we have landscapes, and of course, ballerinas. And all of those were donated to the museum by Scotty shortly before her death. So we just want everybody to come out there to the Tea and Talk. And the great thing about the Tea and Talk is after you have learned about all of the artwork, learned some brief history about Zelda Fitzgerald, we're going to feed you too. We're going to serve a Southern delicacy. We're calling it Southern biscuits. It's basically peaches and biscuits, one of the dishes that Zelda and her husband really, really loved. In fact, they loved it so much that they drove all the way from New York to Montgomery just to have it. So again, that event is going to be this Saturday at 10:30. So come on out, free event. And then afterwards, if you decide you don't want peaches and biscuits, you can always take the time out to enjoy our Saturday brunch at Cafe M.
So let's make sure everyone heard. Free.
Free.
Free. Montgomery loves free. Cynthia, thank you. So,
and it's food.
and it's free. Not free food, though.
Yes, the biscuits.
The biscuits will
The
be
bis-
free?
The peaches and the biscuits
Woo,
and
wow.
the tea and coffee. all
Don't
that's
tell
free.
Sherry Myers along the way. A couple of other quick things, just so if you walk around this weekend, you'll see thousands of individuals. We talked about Tuesday night at the city council meeting that our downtown and also our East Chase are in the mid-70s in occupancy, which will lead us then to having serious conversations relative to additional hotels. But this is just but one routine thing that the Parks and Rec organization does. Scott sent this to me. We've got the USFA, which is United States Fast Pitch Association. It's what's called a 5-star exposure tournament, which means that people really come and coaches will come and scouts will come to see in the future where they want to be. Check this out. There will be 94 teams, almost 100 teams. Teams would be 15 to 20. Each of them will have some significant family members with them. 67 are from out of state. We've got people from New Jersey, we've got people from Indiana, from Georgia, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Florida, Mississippi, Texas, Louisiana, Indiana, all coming to Montgomery, Alabama to do that. And so this starts 8 a.m. Friday and runs through Saturday. And if you want to see some good fast pitch softball, you will get out to Lagoon and also Thane Park, where both of those will happen. And those are the kind of activities that really have allowed us to move our revenue in our city up, because we're going to be in excess of $8.5 million in lodging tax this year without any adjustment along the way. I mentioned as we started, we had a potential serious event last night that started sometime in the early evening. And I wanted Chief Collier to come. He's the district chief over Hazmat, because this could have been a very serious event in our community. But our guys who have that highest ISO rating, their training, their fitness, and their capabilities contained it. And so it became not a non-event, certainly to the food company out there, it's a big event. But Chief, if you would talk a bit about that and what we had to do and how serious it could have been and what actions we took.
Like Mayor Strange said, fire units were called to 4530 Mobile Highway last night around 9:20 on a possible ammonia leak at Koch Foods. Our units arrived in less than 3 minutes to the scene, with our hazmat team shortly following within 5 minutes. We did confirm a leak with the plant manager, and of course our number one priority at that time was life safety for the employees at the facility, making sure everybody was evacuated and accounted for. And then of course the life safety of the citizens surrounding the area. When our unit hazmat team gets there, we have 8 personnel trained to the hazmat technician level. So they're all highly trained. They're on duty 24/7. We keep that unit staffed, 8 personnel at all times. They set out, we have product-specific monitors just for ammonia, which is what the product was last night. Once we determined that there was no parts per million of ammonia detected outside the facility, and every employee was accounted for, we set up a decon and 2-member entry team in fully encapsulated suits, decontamination for our units. And we put 2-man entry team in fully encapsulated suits with supplied air to go in to isolate the leak, determine what valves needed to be shut off to control and contain the leak. And they was able to do that through 4 entry teams because they had limited air supply and the heat and humidity that was affected last night. We was able to shut all the necessary valves off to control that leak, shut it completely off, and contain the ammonia to the interior of the facility, where at that time the company contacted a private cleanup crew contractor from Phoenix City to come in and do the initial cleanup and environmental prep. ADM, EPA, National Response Center, all notifications were made, and it's in the cleanup stage at this time.
Well, you've getting a kind of a brief synopsis. There was a lot of activity going on. I watched it on the news last night, but these are your tax dollars at work with our equipment, with our training, with the capabilities that we have to be able to have such a high degree of capability. This could have been a serious scenario, but if we had not acted quickly and with that good training and good equipment, it could have been a lot more serious. But being able to contain it last night around 10 or 11 o'clock really saved a lot of grief along the way. So congratulations and thank you guys along the way. Okay, Mac, if you would come up. Hopefully, this won't be the last topic of conversation. This won't be the last time that the Weber building will be a topic of conversation, but since the event, which has now been 1 year ago, we wanted to update you on the status of the Weber building and to tell you that as of Monday, about 2 o'clock, the city no longer owns the Weber building. It has been sold to an organization that will benefit from that. And while I have some of the details, Mac has been working this for the last year and has really done a great job, obviously with our safety folks and engineering and working through all of the issues. While we're not going to be able to save the Weber building in its intact or whatever remains, we are going to be able to save, and it's part of the agreement that the various materials in there, to the extent possible, will be saved and will be reused in a lot of the construction that's going on along Dexter Avenue and other areas. Mac, if you would. Sure. Congratulations.
As the mayor said, we conveyed the ownership to Elsa J Properties, the entity that owns the neighboring buildings, which would be the former 71 Dexter, which is a former H.L. Green building that many of us remember, and the building next to it, which is the Concert Hall building, which is one of the oldest buildings in Montgomery that has not been rehabilitated. It was built in the 1850s, about the same time as the Weber building. Partially collapsed a year ago. We've been working hard. We met with numerous local developers. We tried to give the city took possession of the building in December from the developer who didn't have the funding able to finish the project. So we tried to bring other developers in. It was just economically not feasible. We brought in some developers within the state as well as out of state, and no one was able to justify investing the kind of dollars it was going to take and get the return they needed. So we started looking at the demolition of the building. The cost to the city Estimate was around $350,000 to take the building down. The salvage contractor wanted all of the salvageable materials, and had we gone that route, we still would have had a hole in the ground that we would have had to fill, which would have cost the city another $200,000 or $300,000. So we looked around and worked out an arrangement with our neighbors, and they're going to take the building and they're going to deconstruct it with the attempt to try to save some of the wall on the west end of the building, as well as portions of the wall on the Monroe Street side, which I think is going to be difficult because there's a lot of openings in there. And the brick is, that's brick that was built or that was manufactured in 1850s. It's a very soft material, and I think it's going to be very difficult for them to save some of the Monroe Street. But the real important thing is they're going to take they've agreed to take all of the heart pine lumber has already been removed and the timbers that are in there, as well as the cast iron and the brick, and reuse it, as the mayor said, in their buildings that they own downtown, which would include the Crest building. They're in the process now of having an expert come in to authenticate the material so that there's no misunderstanding that the material came from the former Montgomery Theater building, and if we can repurpose it downtown. At the same time, we've got an agreement to take the windows, and we're donating the windows to Landmarks Foundation Rescued Relics so that they can use it as a fundraiser or in some of the buildings that they own in Old Alabama Town. During this past year, we worked closely with the Montgomery County Historical Society group members, the Historical Structures Committee, as well as Landmarks. They have been at the table through all the process and have been very supportive of us. They're like us. We'd love to figure out a way to save the building, but that's just not possible. But when you really look at the building originally, the Montgomery Theater building, was only 2 floors. The theater was on the 2nd floor. Well, when it was converted to a department store, they came in and put steel beams or steel columns and added a 3rd floor to the building. So when you go back and look at comparing the building to what was done to it to the Montgomery Theater building, it really was compromised there. And then 10 years ago, when the metal roof was put on it, it's not the original roof. So the only thing original are those walls and the timbers inside and the cast iron. So I think this is the best thing that we could do possible. They've got 6 weeks to get the permitting in place and their plan. They do not have a plan for what would happen on the lot at this time. Their plans are to take the building down and use it as a staging area as they can do their construction on the buildings that are neighboring buildings. There's also one other thing. It's going to give them better egress so that they can restore the concert hall building, as well as a building called the Tools Bakery, which is a building in the very center of the block of Monroe and Dexter that was built in the 1880s. So this is going to open up that building. So I think it's all the way around. I think it's a very good plan for us, and it's a way the city will save money, but even more so than that, it gets those materials repurposed downtown Montgomery. I think that's very important.
Mac, great job of articulating that, and I personally want to thank you on behalf of all our citizens for the hard work that you've put in, and so many others, our public works organization, engineering group, to be able to do that. I hope you heard that by so doing, we are saving somewhere in the $600,000 range. We are able to repurpose whatever the salvageable materials are in there, and while they will use that as a staging area for their construction, I believe at the end of that period of time, there will be some kind of green space there. It will be an entrance into the Tools Bakery, which the vision is to have restaurants in there, and it will be a nice area in downtown. And we've had some conversations about what would happen, but until they see what in fact can be saved on that property, we're just not in a position to speculate further what might in fact be there. Thank each and every one of you for being here. Thanks, Friends of the Library, for your generous contribution to make our system a better system and kind of lead the charge in making sure there are books available for our healthy minds. So.